What's up? Welcome back. Today is a video that I've been wanting to do forever, but I'm just now figuring it out. A lot of you follow me from the stuff that I have done with the strike pack, as well as some of you may be here from my newest, more recent videos on the DualShock 4 back button attachment. These are both controller add-on mods. They're both fairly inexpensive, and they add a lot of function to your controllers. They add a lot of opportunity for advancement in Fortnite, and for your skill level to take off, you can only do so much on a standard controller. So when you add two paddles like these, you can have a lot more freedom. You can do a lot more. Well, I found something that's gonna take that a step further. I found this. This is called the extremerate Dawn PS4 remap kit, I believe. And as you can see, it has four extra buttons added on to the standard controller. But there's a lot more that you have to do to be able to get this thing work, rather than like a strike pack where you literally just plug it on and it works. So this thing is 30 bucks on Amazon, which is the exact price of this and actually $10 cheaper than the strike pack, but it has double the amount of paddles. So this thing will arrive in a box and it'll have two bags of tools and wires and just a couple different things that look very confusing if you've never done any sort of wiring or messed with any of the internal electronics in a lot of these things. It also comes with some instructions, thank God. So you have you have all these, and then you have these. Yeah, it gets kind of confusing. So essentially what you have to do is you have to unscrew your controller, take the back shell off. You then have to unconnect the cable going from the front part of the controller to the back part of the controller. And then it kind of gets chaotic. You have to lift up the motherboard and they give you a couple other wires, and you have to go and put in like 4 different sets of wires and wire them to these little yellow things that the buttons go on. And then they give you a completely new back shell, which is why this one is textured, because you can pick whatever color or whatever texture you want for the back shell, because they obviously have to have the 4 spots for the buttons on the back. But in doing that, you have to replace your entire light bar, and this thing just gets really complicated. And then you have to go and you have to put it all back together the exact way, which, as you can see if you look more closely, I still have gaps because I could not get it back on. All in all, I probably spent around 4 hours working on this thing, all for it to not work. So I went back through, spent about another hour, and I finally got it to work. But it's not exactly perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead, plug this thing in. I already set it up through Steam and all of that. I pretty much set it up the exact same way I set up my strike pack. So if you haven't seen that tutorial, you can pretty much use that tutorial minus the SCP toolkit. So it works normally. My light bar even works somehow, but the controller has 4 paddles as previously said. It has K1, K2, K3, and K4. K1 is the top right button, which I have set as, actually it's set as a mouse and keyboard bind. So when I click it, if you look down in the bottom right in my weapon slots, it goes straight to my first slot, my shotgun slot. So at any point I can click that and it's gonna go straight over to my shotgun slot. I can be building and go straight from my 4th slot back to my 1st slot. And I do this through the Steam settings. If you're interested in that, I've made a tutorial. You can look up in the top right hand corner, there should be a little tab right there. And then for my bottom, my K2, my bottom right button, I have it set to edit. So I just click it and obviously I have the instant edit. My K3, my top left button, is also going to be a mouse and keyboard bind. I also have a tutorial in the top right hand corner to do this. So this, all I have to do is click my edit button and I click that paddle. For a normal controller, you have to click your edit button, you have to click your reset button, and then you have to click your confirm button. You're clicking 3 buttons just to reset one wall. All mouse and keyboard has to do is scroll down and they reset it that quickly. So this gives me on controller a somewhat of an advantage by only using 2 buttons. And I do this by actually setting that top paddle as scroll wheel down, which is what I use for scroll wheel reset. So I just click it and I'm able to reset it. And for my last one, for my K4, my bottom left button, it is set to jump. Just like on my DualShock 4 back button attachment and my strike pack, I always have my left paddle set to jump and my right paddle set to edit. But because I get 2 extra functions with these 2 extra paddles, I can actually go ahead and set these to do different functions. I thought these would be some fun functions to use, and I thought they'd be pretty useful. Now, I think I messed up some of the wiring in this controller. Every once in a while, it'll do some funky stuff, like it'll just very aggressively drag my screen to the left, which kind of makes this unusable. Now, this is 100% probably my fault in the wiring process because I have zero idea what I'm doing. I just follow the instructions as best as I could. But when it's not doing that, it's actually pretty cool. See, right now, I'm not even controlling it. It's just, well, that was strange. It's not awful, but it's definitely not optimal. So if you're more on the technical side, this is probably something pretty good for you. It's very inexpensive, only 30 bucks for 4 paddles. I think the only other place that I found that you can get 4 paddles is from a scuff that runs you about 200 bucks. So this is gonna be your best bet, but also be cautious because you do have to take apart your controller, and your controller is about $60, so I would not want to break that. Putting this on kind of makes my dead zones feel pretty slow, which is weird. It's kind of unfortunate just because I've ran into a lot of issues with this, and I actually wanted to completely use this. As you can see, my ping is awful. I was actually planning on legitimately using this for like my actual controller setup, but obviously that's not really gonna work out because of how buggy it actually is. I think the strong suit with having these 4 paddles, especially for the binds that I have with the faster reset and the straight shotgun switch, is in box fights. In box fights, you need all of that, so I think I'm gonna try some box fights and try to use these new binds and see if they're worth it, see what you can do with them. If you guys would like a comparison between this and these two, just like an overall comparison on which the best one to buy is, I can definitely make one of those, and I definitely will make one of those if that's something that you guys would like to see. Otherwise, I'm gonna head into here and play some box fights on these. And before you guys like say I'm absolutely trash, I have never used these binds ever. This is my first time playing box fights in this. Gets everyone. He just goes for those. I think he's on controller. It looks like he's just trying to get those 200 pumps every time. Oh, I'm out of mats. That's not good. He's out of mats too. Before I get really good at box fights, it's definitely going to take some practicing with this, because even now I'm still finding myself clicking my normal reset buttons. So it's just like any new bind, it's going to take a little while to get used to. So I definitely have some getting used to do with this controller if I want to continue to use it. Let me know if you guys would like to see like a progress update, if I should continue playing with this controller or if I should just stick with my strike pack. I definitely like the feel of my strike pack better, but if it's something you guys would like to see, I will definitely do that. So thank you so much for watching. Drop a like, subscribe if you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.